The thing about this message is that it's just too darn simple. It's saying that there's literally just what's happening. Just this. However it's showing up, pleasant, unpleasant. But this is worth going into a little deeper because the me goes, well, yeah, Michael, this is what is, but this isn't what I want. So as long as I'm invested in that story of the me trying to get something, I'm always going to be seeking. That story is an endless story. There's no end. You can just seek, seek, seek. But what's here now isn't moving. And it's not a thing. It's not an object. It's not a something. So as Dan pointed out in my new favorite video of his, a story can only ever be a story. You're never actually getting anywhere. All you get is more story. And it's empty. So there's that piece is here already, but can we say disguised as nothing? It's not any particular thing because it's everything. So you're not going to find it. That's the dilemma for the me. It will never find what it's looking for because A, it doesn't exist, and B, what it thinks it's looking for doesn't exist. Um, Actually, Eric Newport's here, but I guess there he is. Eric, I really loved your video. I have to say, um, where you said there's only this what's appearing, so there can be no mistake, there can be no success.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there's just not a lot of room for any mental construction, which would be all manner of things. So, where do you go from nowhere? Um, yeah.
Well, we might postulate that it's the attempting to go somewhere that is the seeking and the suffering. It's my refusal just to stay put, so to speak.
Yeah, totally. And in any given day, I can watch the apparent me refuse to stay with what is and what arises. It's like just a sort of a program that plays like a tape. Like there will be periods of tension, and then suddenly the thoughts kick up like a storm, and it's like, oh, I got to do something about this apparent tension that's here. And then when it swings the pendulum, swings the other way, and I suddenly like what's going on, the thoughts kind of fall away, and there's just a sort of a being with what's happening, and so it just kind of comes in and out. Um, yeah, at least here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's so counterintuitive that the nothing is the wholeness, because nothing cannot be divided. Nothing cannot lack anything.
And as you say that, this like pang of like sorrow, I don't know how to describe it, of like, oh man, I don't know. When you said that, it just really hit. Yeah. It's almost like a sorrow for the the story, like grasping so indefatigably, if you could say that, tirelessly, for some thing to hang its hat on. And it's all,
Yeah.
there's no post, there's not even a hat, and there's not even a hand to hang it.
Oh,
It just, God, it feels, there can be a lot of sorrow for that whole thing just being all for naught.
yeah. Yeah, that's something Tim Kliss often talks about, you know, is the real disappointment that everything you ever thought you did or knew or owned or had. And you can be really conflicted, like exactly as Eric's saying. There can be, I'm just going to speak normal, there can be like the realization of the truth of what we're speaking, and there can still be angst and a rejection and a wanting to continue to live in the story. That's the paradox. One doesn't have to exclude the other, because it's all this, whether it, whatever.
On the other hand, the freedom, a lightness, and joy also.
Yeah.
Expansion.
Well, that's, see, all of a sudden, it's like that's, you just start realizing everything is just, is nothing appearing as whatever. Whatever is being shared is nothing sharing. And that's amazing.
There's lightness and joy.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good point that doesn't really get spoken about very much, is that even a little bit of this goes a long way in terms of just relaxing and enjoying life as it is. Um, I have to say, I don't know about any kind of an awakening or a big moment or anything like that, but every day I've been listening to this teaching, it was only about a few months, but life just gets better and easier. And as it is, it's more enjoyable. It's lighter. There's a lot more laughter. I can be myself. I'm much more honest. I don't put up with crap nearly as much as I did. And there's just a sense of, ironically, I would say there's a sense of a richness to the self that is. There's just a richness to it. And it doesn't matter if it's there or not, because the human being is still there. And it feels more like a melting into a more and more honest human being, rather than any kind of great, even like any kind of great like enlightenment thing, or self is gone or falling away or any of that. It's just that day-to-day, moment-to-moment richness. And kind of like Eric was talking about, when those, old patterns do come up, it's so much easier to let them go instead of being bossed around by them. That's been my experience so far.
Wow. Yeah, I have to second everything you just said, Kurt.
I think outsiders, or people who haven't heard this kind of message, language, this whole sort of little in-talk thing we have going, might be really put off by the whole idea of I'm not there, you're not even doing this, all that kind of stuff. But what would come through is when they sense people, it's kind of like who you are rather than what you're saying. We talk about a resonance, and you could say that that's, in the category of a resonance. But I think obviously it doesn't matter. There's probably going to be a very small group of people that hears this, but I think that might be why. Just it makes your life better. Makes such a great life, whether you get it or not. It's every little step. I think it's going to make relationships better. It's going to make your ability to perform better. It's good stuff.
The part that is really appreciated here is what you said at the outset, Michael, that what is, and it's all included, and to me wants it to be different. Once that is seen, that to me wants it to be different, it is still what is, including the me wants it to be different, but that creates a dissonance somehow. I guess the seeking, you call it, it creates that desire to get to a point where there is no desire to want it to be different. And so I experience it as somewhat peaceful if I just let that all go and say, well, it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Just this, or whatever you call it. But it's a relief. It's a relief, and in that sense, lighter, more enjoyable.
Yeah, for sure. And I actually had a thought when I heard Eric talk about there can be no mistake or success because there's just what's happening. And it occurred to me as he was saying that just what's happening doesn't lead anywhere, because there's only just what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Only the moment, only now.
So this is an open meeting. Everybody's welcome to participate. And if you have a comment or question, feel free to unmute and jump in.
Hey, let's hear some more about already.
Ha ha ha, my favorite word.
We're already hearing it, Jim. It's already been addressed.
I got here a little late, so I probably missed something important at the beginning. Can you recap the whole thing?
Recap. Actually, nothing happened.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So you didn't miss that. You didn't miss anything.
Was it you were saying something about Eric said something? Eric, did you say something? Oh, okay.
Not just now.
I'll have to watch. I'll have to watch for the when you publish this. Anyway, let's hear some more about already.
I didn't recognize Eric without the beautiful bushy beard. You got
Oh,
all
yeah.
cleaned up.
Yeah, that beard was sort of a project for a few years. I really enjoyed it. And then I got out of a relationship, and I sort of felt like with that transition, I decided to lose the beard as well.
That's great. Good for you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
You can always grow it back. What the heck?
Yeah, what the heck?
Oh, good. It's you, Faith. I was worried because we're in the middle of getting Zoom bombed, and there's these people with these funny names, and but in the middle I saw Faith, and I go, okay, I know Faith, she's legit, but Billy Butterwort, no, yeah, they went away. I didn't let them in. Yeah.
I was thinking maybe the present moment has an agenda.
Well, you just said you were thinking.
Right. So I'll rephrase it. Maybe the present moment has an agenda.
Well, right, but it's still a thought. Whether you say the present moment has an agenda, the present moment doesn't have an agenda, maybe it has an agenda, those are all thoughts.
Don, this reminds me a little bit of the widespread notion that life has a purpose, or there is a purpose in everything. I hear that a lot. And that's definitely questionable. I wouldn't know. It would be tough to believe that.
And which present moment were you talking about that had an agenda? The one that was happening when you talked about it, or the one that's happening now that I'm talking about it? Which present moment was it?
Any present moment, anyone. If there's more than one, whether there's just one or whether there are many, whatever.
Well, that's a problem because I can't find the present moment.
Yeah. My point was that there aren't any. There's no such thing as a present moment, because it's always changing. As soon as you even think about it, it's already a memory. So when we talk about this as what's happening, you can't really put it in the box of a present moment. The power of now was already then. So it's really tricky because we want to put it in a box. It is what it seems to be happening now, but even as soon as I say it, it's already slipped out of our hands. That's the beauty of it. That's where the nothing comes in. There's nothing there. It's like Michael is saying, well, you can't grab it. Show it to me. Show me this present moment you're talking about.
Yeah.
But that's the freedom of it too. That's the beauty of it, I think.
An agenda also presupposes an entity, a separate entity that is like operating with a whole set of, with an agenda. It doesn't hold up to wholeness.
You could say that agenda is suffering. Right? If I have an agenda, I'm not open and free and available. I have an agenda. I have a purpose. I'm going there for a reason. Now, if my reason gets met, maybe I'll feel happy for a minute. But you see the problem. I have to keep chasing. And so there can be exhaustion, guys. You can just go, I just don't fucking know.
You know, I just can't wait to see what's going to happen next. I'm on pins and needles over here. Where's Nikosi?
Yeah, I have
He's
a
still-
message. I have a message from Nkosi, Jim.
He still comes here, right?
Well, he does when he has power in his phone, but he messaged Alice and I just before this meeting and apologized that I guess he's been out with power for a while now and his phone only has 3%. And so he said he would not be able to join us this evening. But then he ended it with the most beautiful, oh my God, listen to how he closed out. He said, I may not be with you as that image in the screen, but I'm always with you as your own self.
That sounds really mystical.
I'm always with you as your own self.
Maybe we could just channel him, you know?
When you said, I just don't fucking know, it occurs to me to say, I don't fucking care. I don't know, I don't care.
Mm,
Same,
yeah,
same.
sure. Lovely. There's such freedom in that though, because it's so honest.
Yeah. Because I think that's the I get to when I realize that thoughts are just visitors that have no meaning. If I let go of the thoughts, then what is there to care about?
Yeah, exactly. And that was why on the last Nkosi and Alice audio, he gave her a really beautiful, and I know, and Nkosi knows too, the non-dual police are going to be all over it. Yeah, yeah. He said, stay here, just stay here. He didn't mince any words. He said, your thoughts are going to come, feelings are going to come, stories are going to come, emotions are going to come. It's all going to come. Stay here. Don't go out with the tide. And he says, it's going to be difficult at first. He goes, but it gets easier.
He's right about the first. I've been doing it, and I notice after 2 minutes, the mind gets busier, it seems. And so I'm continually bringing it's okay. Again, the thoughts, I'm not to do anything about the thoughts, but I'm noticing how difficult it really is even to stay with the 10 minutes. And I've been communicating with him via text, and he's been very helpful, and it just makes a difference. But just to sit and watch the tree, like I have a tree right outside my picture window, and just look at it, and that slows down the thinking to focus on an object. And he said that was fine to do it that way. It's just something to focus in other than following those thoughts.
Yeah, I may suggest that I don't even recommend a time limit. I know he said sometime, but I would say do for as long as feels comfortable, and then come back when you're ready. You know what I mean? Keep it I like it open-ended. I don't want any pressure. Oh God, I got to sit 10 minutes. I've only been 3. That's too much for me. So for me, it's just because really, Alice, the point is you don't ever leave. See, that's why Nkosi's unflappable. He doesn't vacillate. He's here. It's solid. No story is going to get Nkosi. He laughs at story. That's why the guy's laughing all the time. Right? So now you can enjoy the story. Finally, you can enjoy the characters. You can laugh. You can be angry. You can all that spiritual crap about how to, behave. You want to look good spiritually. Fuck that. Just like Kirk said, be human. Be fully honest with. And Nkosi says Dallas all the time. Don't suppress. Nothing is suppressed. Nothing is
Progress.
And one time I got mad at my son, so he and I had to talk about it. And it was beautiful. And we were finished discussing this honestly. I felt closer to him than I ever had. But I understand more what it's so good not to suppress. And it's good to have people in my life that I really feel I can do that with. And anyway, thank you, my friend.
Yeah, it definitely brought us closer. And it just does when you realize someone wants to connect with you. You know, that's really what's going on. And they're saying, hey, you're not letting me connect with you. But when you're open, like that's what happened when you and I just were open, it all took care of itself.
Yes. Seriously.
One of the things about story is that it's already in motion. There's already like an ongoing in your imagination agenda already, just from going into story, because you have to have a me, you have to have a life, you have to have an object, you have to have all these things. And there's no peace in that. The me very much cares about story. As in me, story, being right and being wrong and making sure I get it correct, it's a full-time job. And it's also an impossibility.
Last Sunday, I was riding on a bus through LA, and I had this really strange idea about what if I stopped naming stuff. And I was seeing things out the window, and I was like just compulsively and automatically naming the house, tree, sky, telephone pole, whatever. So I got this weird idea. I think I got it from Krishnamurti. Anyway, he talks about wordless observation. So I decided I'd just stop naming stuff. And I was sitting there just staring at it. I had this absolutely astonishing effect. Suddenly I felt totally free. It wasn't like the me disappeared, but it was as if by not naming things, there was this interesting freedom of mind or soul, whatever you want to call that. And to test it, I thought, okay, I'm going to go back to naming stuff. Made me feel like I was in a box again. But I stopped naming things and had this incredible sense of freedom and selflessness, or whatever you want to call it. It's magical in a way, but it had an amazing effect by just not giving things names, just letting them pass by. Now, I know that that's not non-duality and all that. That's a method and a system, but it had an amazing effect. Just not naming stuff. That was funny. I thought, well, maybe Krishnamurti was onto something there about wordless observation. I don't honestly know what he meant, but the effect it had on me was a sudden sense of unique freedom, like the freedom from having to be in the mind or be in the self or be in the me. I don't know. It's hard to describe stuff like that because it's rather mystical in a way, but by simply
Right.
not naming things, just letting things just come and go. That was fun. That's one of my latest adventures, right?
But Jim, can it be noticed that as the me, you're already starting as a something?
I'm not sure what you mean by that. It seems like naming has something to do with being a me. I'm not sure how to put it. They say that one of the first things that happens when you're born and you begin to know stuff, in other words, you begin to have names, like there's mom, there's dad, there's whatever. So maybe that's a key to this whole thing. If you can give up naming stuff, it might be one of the first ways to enter, I guess, non-duality or oneness or open. You were talking about a minute ago there about Nikosi is so open. That's how it felt.
Well, Jim, you're always, it's just not going to work because what is it that you're trying to name? See, you think that there's something actually here.
Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. It was just an experiment. I was conducting an experiment for myself on the train. I mean, on the bus. It had an amazing effect.
What comes up for me, Jim, is the interesting phenomenon is when there is this desire to, like when you do an exercise, there is an agenda to achieve something. Often it's wanting to feel better or, wanting to feel happy or, and so these exercise, it's when I do an exercise, I buy into the story of I'm not just with what is, I want to be there. I don't, if I don't name things, then I'm liberated and I'm entering the non-dual space. Whereas, you came on and talking about we're already in the non-dual space. So it's kind of a dog chasing its tail.
Well, I didn't have that experience of, I don't know how to describe it other than when I stopped naming stuff passing by the window of the bus, I felt, I don't know how to put it exactly. I felt, I don't know. It's like freedom, but not freedom of a me, not freedom of a self or Jim. I was just, I don't know how to, it's really difficult to talk about some things, in my opinion. I mean, I've had glimpses in the past that were absolutely astonishing and very, very difficult to talk about afterwards. Like, what was that? I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. So I'm not going to try to explain it. I mean, I'm just talking about what happened. Okay. Maybe it's dumb to talk about what happened. Let's talk about what's happening right now.
Yeah,
like
well,
like sitting here.
What's happening
Right now?
Jim, yeah, answer that. What is happening right now?
Sitting in my office. That's about it. I mean, I could describe what's here, but in a sense, there's nothing here. There's actually nothing here. Not even me.
So
okay.
Here comes the bridger.
What's happening now is fun and joy. That's as close as I can come to describing what it is.
So I have something I'd like to add, Jim, which is I feel like there's a reason we're all here tonight, right? Like we want to feel better. We want to feel clearer. We want to feel more in tune with beingness. We want to maybe let go of the me. So
I don't.
Well,
I can only speak for myself.
Hang on. Let me just finish. So you're on a bus and you, let's say, unconsciously started doing things that started making you feel better.
No.
Wait, hold on.
No, that wasn't what I was doing.
Wait, let me just finish. Let me finish. And then you can talk all you want. I'm actually supporting what you do, which is ironic. So you're on a bus. You're not naming things. You've found this tool that happened naturally. And all of a sudden you started feeling more spacious or more resonance or more whatever you want to call it, a better state. So I actually applaud that, because for me, when I meditate, meditation helps me get to a feeling better. So I would say that you came up with some kind of a practice that helped you. That's all. And I don't think there's anything wrong with whether it's duality or non-duality or neither or both. It doesn't matter. It's perfect. You did something that brought you into a better space or better state, right?
No.
No, it didn't make you feel better?
No, it wasn't about better. See, you're talking about my experience from your perspective. I would prefer you talk about your experience.
How did it make you feel when you were on the bus, when you started not naming things? Did you feel more at peace, more relaxed, or did you feel more stressed from doing that exercise?
No, it wasn't about more at all. It was just what I felt when I stopped naming stuff was, I don't know, it's hard to describe. I felt
Why don't
okay,
we, Jim,
lighter. I felt lighter.
why don't we
I felt
try it
lighter, but
now?
it wasn't about more. It wasn't about getting more lighter. It wasn't about more happy. It wasn't any of that.
Jim, let's try it now.
We just did.
Well, no, but you have to stop. The thing is, as long as I'm in story, this message cannot be heard. You just can't. I'm sorry.
You're speaking for yourself now, right?
You can think of story as movement, and this never moves.
For you.
So that will either resonate or it won't.
In your opinion.
Jim, are you going to say that after everything I say?
Yes.
Well, if you are, I'm going to have to boot you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's highly disruptive.
I agree with you, Michael.
What
Yeah.
will be, what will happen will happen.
So as long as I'm in story, that's an attempt to escape this moment.
That makes me, that it just comes so clear because it feels in moments where it's all talking always just, in moments that feel spacious or free of thought and mind, a thought comes in and then there I am, whatever you just said, Michael. Whatever you just said, I can't say it again, but that thought somehow is perpetuating not enough or something, even though the moment felt very enough.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes. Yeah. It always. So I said that the story is an attempt to escape the moment. And thought is story. So you're absolutely right.
but it doesn't feel like when that I guess in the moment, it's not as if I would want to escape what I'm experiencing, but that thought takes the experience and puts it in a box. It either describes it in that, or it says like, oh, I know this, and now I'm not in the experience, or it starts talking about how it's not quite enough of what other people are experiencing here. You're close, all those things that Kosi will talk about. It like seemingly a thought hijacks it, but only for the moment that I'm turning towards the thought and saying the thought's hijacking it anyway.
No, you're absolutely right.
Absolutely right.
If Dan talks about
this.
You guys hearing an echo?
If everyone else mutes, it'll probably go away.
It's an echo. Did it just stop?
All right, how about, is that better? Okay, yeah, it worked. Yeah, so because as Dan was talking about on his video, the story is the attempt, or thought is the attempt to turn nothing into something. That's sort of the magic trick. It somehow, we don't know how, takes nothing, and it can be as real as can be.
It feels like that is true in the like instant that I'm looking at the story, but then like when Dan explains that, or you say it, or even a moment later, it can be seen, but it's just kind of like in the instant that the story's turned to, it seems to be something.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because you're giving it your attention. You got it? You're giving it your attention. So it blossoms into life. It's like blows up 3D right in you, on you. And so it's just, but again, the instruction is not to give it your attention, because you're not interested in thoughts. You're not interested in story, because here is everything. Here's everything you've ever wanted. But not as anything, not as a something.
So you say, don't give it your attention. And where I'm getting confused, where confusion is arising, there's no me here. So therefore, there's no me with the attention.
Yeah.
So this attention where we say, don't let it go out, bring it back. There's confusion there because there's no attention to go out in the first place. So we're really not going out there. There's no going out and coming back.
Yes.
So what would the instruction be?
If your experience is that it does. There is no me there already. But if your experience, so that's why Nkosi says, well, look, if you believe there's a me there, you're saying to me that it feels like I'm a me. He's just saying, as long as that's the case, stay put. As long as you think there's a me there, then have your me not go with the thoughts. Now, of course, it's ridiculous. Because as you so beautifully said, Don, there already isn't a me. There already isn't an attention. There's just this.
So, so when you say there is just this, and then there's a smile that comes upon this face, a smile and a lightness, we'll say. What is that?
Yes.
Yeah, it's this resonating with itself.
Already.
Any last comments or questions before we close out this evening?
Yeah, I just wanted to share something from earlier when Alice was talking about, and I know Dan mentioned this at the end of maybe 2 meetings ago about being still or not moving, which I think is a cool concept. And I've done this exercise a couple of times. So Alice, you may try it, and anybody else that wants to try it. But if you have somebody, or you can do it yourself, just write down any thought that comes up. And then technically you can do it with feelings and emotions. And I've done this before, and sometimes it takes half an hour, but it's amazing how the mind will start to empty. And your writing will be a lot at first. And then it will start to get less and less and less, and to a point where you may find you have nothing to write down. And it's very consistent also with beginning meditation. The first time you meditate, you may find you have a lot of thoughts. And for a lot of people, it might be hard to get past that because they just think that's how it always is. But if you hang in there, it's really interesting to see that you give the mind a chance to tire itself out, so to speak. So anyway, as Michael said too, if you do it for 10 minutes, I mean, that could work, but at the same time, try not to put any minutes on it and just be over and over with what is. And anyway, it's just a really cool exercise. I've had some success with it, so you might give that exercise a try.
Thank you, Alan.
I don't know if you've heard or not, but Tim Kliss is going to come and speak in the colonies here, June 24th, 25th, and 26th. It's going to be in Asheville, North Carolina, so it's a bit of a hike from LA. But
Yeah, I tried to get him to. He asked if he could post an invite for this in my non-duality community. I said, of course, Tim, and might I remind you that LA is a scant 2.5 hours away, but he's flying on a budget, and I hope he is successful in North Carolina, because honestly, Tim is one of my most favorite, most real. So that's. Are you going to go see him, Kirk?
yeah, I'm going to go. Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's great. But like Nkosi reminds us that I'm always with you as your own self. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for coming, each and
Thank
every
you.
one of you. Thanks,
Good
guys.
night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Hey, thanks,
Good night,
Michael.
everybody. See you next week.